Who's gonna take care of this old geezer? It's totally different between here and the US, you know. It was Christopher Johnson, recently promoted to manager, who spat these words at me while glaring. He joined this company 10 years ago. At that time, I was just about to be posted overseas, and today was the first time we knew each other's names and faces. I look forward to your guidance. Indeed, as he said, many things are different between the US and the UK. Moreover, in 10 years, the company's ways had also changed with the times. Holding back my anger at his rude attitude on our first meeting, I replied to Christopher in this way, thinking, let him be free for now, he'll get what's coming to him by the weekend. My name is James Brown, and I'm now 60 years old. Until recently, I was working overseas and just returned to the UK today. Being away for 10 years, the cityscape was completely different, with old things gone and new things appearing. Yet, there were still some unchanging memories of mine. Wow, this diner is still here. Maybe I should go in after a long time. Amidst the new buildings surrounding it, there stood an old-fashioned diner that seemed out of place. This is a place where my uncle often brought me when I was a kid. Now, it seems his son is running the place, but the taste remains the same. Enjoying the familiar flavors, I recall the old days. Actually, I don't remember my parents' faces. When I was 14, they both went to heaven in a car accident. By some stroke of luck, I was at a club match and wasn't in the car, so I survived. My uncle and his wife took me in after I lost my parents. They were 24 at the time. Newlyweds, probably wanting more time for themselves, but they took me in without hesitation. We'll be your parents from now on, James. Nice to meet you. It might take some time, but we'd be happy if you could think of us as your real parents. Just as they said, they loved me like their own son. I later found out that my aunt, Maria, couldn't have children due to her health. That's why they took me in and raised me with the utmost love. Even without a biological connection, the three of us were happier than any family. My uncle, Thomas, started a construction company when he was 30. At first, it was running at a loss. But thanks to his excellent communication skills and good employees, it has now become a major firm. After graduating from college, I started working there too. Of course, it wasn't through connections. I secretly applied for an interview without telling Thomas. I'll never forget the surprised look on his face during the final interview with the president. Many companies might check resumes beforehand, but Thomas values human qualities over documents. To avoid preconceived notions, he didn't look at the resumes until the day of the interview, so he didn't know it was me. I successfully got the job and officially became an employee at Thomas's company. However, I haven't announced that I'm the president's nephew. This was agreed upon by both Thomas and me. I didn't want any favoritism, and Thomas didn't want other employees to treat me differently because of it. He had selected very talented individuals. They were sometimes strict, yet kind. As if they didn't know the word compromise. Everyone strived to be the best every day. I too honed my skills, determined not to lose to such amazing seniors. I had obtained almost all the qualifications that seemed useful for the future. I literally studied without sleep. President, can you send me overseas? When I turned 50, I made this request to Thomas. By then, the company had become a major firm with successful projects overseas and several international offices. There are many places abroad with skyscrapers that rival those in London. Not only their size and number, but also their attractive appearances are impressive. Since their architectural style differs from that of the UK, their exteriors are entirely unique. Anyone in our construction industry would admire them. I wanted to study these structures on site and incorporate their designs back in the UK. Overseas, can you even speak business English? Besides, I was thinking of having you take over the company soon. It's okay. That's why I've been studying languages in my spare time. If you consider me as the next president, this experience will be even more beneficial. Interested in overseas projects, I secretly began studying languages after work. I even attended language school on my days off. Thanks to my efforts, I got the IELTS test 9 point. I had gained enough business English skills to get by in daily life. But unless I actually lived there, I wouldn't know if it would really work. Still, I couldn't give up on my dream. Sigh, once you set your mind on something, there's no moving you, aren't you fine? Go ahead. You've got 10 years. Study hard and don't come back too soon. Thank you. I'll do my best to meet your expectations. Well, I'm only 60. All I have is my health. I'll keep the company going for another 10 years. And so, my move overseas was decided. James, take care of yourself, okay? Make sure to stay in touch sometimes. Maria, I'm not a kid anymore. I'm a 50-year-old man, remember? On the day of my departure, Thomas and Maria came to see me off at the airport gate. I couldn't help but smile wryly at Maria's words, which sounded like she was sending off a young child. Your kids are always your kids, no matter how old they get. Do your best out there. I will. Looking back, I commuted to college from home and lived with them even after starting my job. There was only a 10-year age difference, so it felt like we were friends or brothers. I never thought about moving out and living alone. Being with Thomas and Maria was so natural to me. Feeling grateful for having such wonderful parents, I boarded the plane, reminiscing about the past. After an 8-hour flight, I arrived at my destination, New York. Wow, seeing it in person is something else. The scenery, so different from the UK, filled me with excitement like never before. The people at the office welcomed me warmly and were eager to guide me, despite my lack of experience. I was impressed by how these excellent employees took care of someone like me. While in New York, I actively participated in various projects. Initially, I handled miscellaneous tasks in a supporting role. After 2 years, I was entrusted with small projects, which greatly motivated me. Learning overseas methods was my main goal, but I also aimed to introduce the British techniques. Amidst the stylish buildings, I took on the challenge of incorporating the British elements. Surprisingly, this was well received, and more clients began requesting the British-style designs for parts of their homes. Our company was the only one in the country using this construction method, and our performance kept rising sharply. We became so busy that we had to hire more employees. Amidst these hectic days, 10 years flew by. Despite my reluctance, I left New York. That was delicious. Wow, look at the time. I need to get to the office. Time flies when reminiscing while eating. I had just returned to the UK, yet I already missed New York as I got into a taxi. Oh, this place has changed a lot too. Our ever-growing company had relocated to a new site a few years after I left for New York. As I looked up at the building, a woman emerged from the entrance. Hello, you're James, right? Thomas mentioned he had an important meeting today and had asked his secretary to show me around. I figured this must be her and greeted her in return. Yes, that's right. Nice to meet you. I'm Lisa, the president's secretary. Let me show you around the office. Please follow me. Following Lisa, the secretary, I stepped into the office. The place was bustling with employees and numerous visitors, full of energy. I felt a mix of joy about taking over the company soon and anxiety about whether I could support it properly. After being shown around various departments, we finally arrived at the design department. Having been away from the UK for 10 years, I was unfamiliar with the current situation here. So, I was to work in this design department for about a week. This would allow me to understand the current needs and share the knowledge I had gained. Sorry to interrupt everyone. May I have your attention for a moment? The employees, who were gathered around a set of blueprints, turned to look at us in unison at Lisa's voice. There wasn't a single familiar face among them, possibly due to department transfers. Most were young men and women, indicating a strong focus on nurturing the next generation. Well, if it isn't Lisa the secretary, good work. What brings you here? I brought James, who I mentioned earlier, back with me. James, this is Christopher Johnson, who has been serving as the department head since last month. Oh, really? And where is he? I can't believe it, but... Christopher looked towards me, standing just behind Lisa, with a puzzled expression. I stepped forward to meet his gaze and greeted everyone. Nice to meet you all. I'm James Brown. I look forward to working with you. Seriously, just an old guy. Wait, this person is. Lisa tried to explain my identity to Christopher, but I stopped her. They would find out about me eventually. I felt that this way, I could see the true nature of the department. You've got to be kidding me. Who's going to take care of this old man? It's totally different between here and the US. He joined the company 10 years ago. At that time, I was about to be posted overseas, and today was our first time meeting each other. To be able to say such disrespectful things to someone he just met, I almost respected him for it. I wondered why Thomas, who values personality in hiring decisions, chose someone like him. Moreover, he had been promoted to manager in just 10 years. Even so, I held my anger inside, trusting Thomas's judgment. That's right, I'm quite ignorant, so please guide me well. Indeed, as he said, many things are different between the US and the UK. Moreover, in 10 years, the company's ways had also changed with the times. Holding back my anger at his rude attitude on our first meeting, I replied to Christopher, thinking, let him be free for now. He'll get what's coming to him by the weekend. Hey, old man, I'm busy, unlike you. If you want me to guide you, you'll have to be my errand boy. Go to the convenience store in front of the office and get me some lunch. I'm more than willing to support him in work matters, but I didn't return here to be his servant. I was about to refuse, when Christopher continued, oh, and by the way, you don't have the right to say no. If you want to keep working here until retirement, you better not defy me. His tyrannical attitude made me want to reveal my true identity. But I also worried if this department could function properly with someone like him in charge. I decided to endure and observe until the weekend, keeping a clear mind. James, I'm sorry. He's been like that with his subordinates ever since he was promoted. I used to be in your position. As for lunch, he'll complain no matter what you get, so just get anything. A young employee said this to me while I was getting ready to head out. I see, thank you, I understand. Afterwards, I returned with some rice balls and sandwiches, but it goes without saying that Christopher complained non-stop. Despite his attitude, he seemed competent at his job. Given his demeanor, I thought he might delegate his work to others, but he did his tasks diligently. Is there anything I can help with? No. It's faster if I do it myself rather than relying on an old man. And besides, I have better taste. My designs are highly praised by clients. If you have free time, study the materials I've worked on. He pointed to the shelf where the materials were stored, speaking coldly. Despite his tone, I was genuinely interested in his designs, so I took the materials as he suggested. As he claimed, his designs were indeed impressive and highly praised by clients. I even thought that working together could produce even better results. The weekend arrived after spending days running around like Christopher's errand boy. That day, a party was held in the company's grand hall to announce the next president. The employees didn't know who the next president would be. People in the hall whispered, "Is it that person or this person?" Thank you all for gathering here today. First, I would like to express my gratitude to all of you, Thomas said as he took the stage and began speaking into the microphone. Everyone applauded at his words. I started this company when I was 30, and in just a few decades, it has grown to be called a major company. This is all thanks to the efforts of each and every one of you. I can't express my gratitude enough. Now, at 70, I am retiring. With tears in his eyes, voices of "thank you for your hard work" echoed throughout the room. This scene alone showed how much trust and respect Thomas had earned from his employees. Now, let's introduce the next president, he said, looking towards the side of the stage. I took a deep breath to calm my nerves and stepped onto the stage. Amid the applause, I could hear murmurs of confusion, which was understandable. Given that Thomas was retiring due to age, the new president, also quite old, seemed an odd choice. Though there's only a 10-year difference at our age, we appear almost the same. I would have doubts if I were in their position too. Let me introduce my son, James. Some of you may know him, but most probably don't. Hello everyone, I'm James Brown. Many of you might wonder why an old man like me is taking this role. But I am determined to further elevate this company. I ask for your support. I want to use the knowledge I've gained overseas to help us all grow together. My speech was met with applause. But there was one person who shouted loudly, "Wait a minute, he's the next president. You've got to be kidding. And being the president's son, the math doesn't even add up." It was Christopher who shouted this. Well, there's a lot of explain. We adopted him, my nephew, as our son. So there's only a 10-year age difference. Yes, he might seem old to you, but his dedication to this company is unmatched. He was supposed to take over 10 years ago. 10 years ago, I insisted on going overseas. I wanted to learn new things to help the company grow. I even learned a new language from scratch for this. I'm grateful to the president for respecting my wishes. Thank you very much. I took this opportunity to say thank you to Thomas. When he introduced me as his son, I heard a few whispers saying, "So it's all about connections." But when I mentioned my 10 years of studying abroad, those whispers turned to sounds of surprise. Not many 50-year-olds would want to study abroad, let alone learn a new language from scratch for it. My dedication seemed to have made an impression as the disrespectful murmurs ceased. But still, I joined this company because of the president. I'm sorry, but I can't follow someone who knows nothing. You worked with him in the design department for the past week, didn't you? Haven't you seen his skills? When Thomas said this, I heard Christopher gulp, his throat moving visibly. For the past week, I've only been running errands and haven't been involved in design work. So Christopher doesn't know my capabilities or what I learned in New York. President, I'm still inexperienced from his perspective. It's no wonder he thinks that. What do you mean by that? Christopher is indeed talented, but... Wait, don't say anything unnecessary. Seeing this as my chance to counter, I took a deep breath. Then, let's have the manager guide me. This is the only way to earn his approval. Christopher's face turned pale, and beads of sweat appeared on his forehead at my unexpected suggestion. The people in the development department struggled to hold back their laughter as they watched him. I'm sorry, but I don't understand. Christopher, are you saying my son isn't capable enough to be the next president? What happened this past week? Well, let's not worry about that now. We'll talk later, okay? Today is also a celebration for the president. Let's eat and drink. Everyone, cheers. Though I started this confrontation, I didn't want to create a hostile atmosphere for the other departments. So, I forced a toast. Around Thomas, many long-time employees gathered, chatting and reminiscing about old times. I sipped my wine and observed the overall scene. I went around greeting the heads of each department, and not one of them treated me poorly. Everyone supported me, trusting Thomas's choice, even though I was his son. After about 2 hours, the party ended, and volunteers gathered to clean up. Of course, I took the lead in helping. The party had started at noon, and including the cleanup, it was evening by the time we finished. Afterward, several members of the development department, including Christopher and me, were called to the president's office. I heard Christopher liked beer, but given the upcoming situation, he hadn't had a drop and looked completely sober. Just pale. Sorry to call you all here. I'd like to continue our earlier discussion. Is that okay, Christopher? Christopher's shoulders shook when his name was called. Well, it's just that. Christopher's vague answers only made Thomas more frustrated. What parts of my son do you think make him unfit to be president? If there are things that can be improved, I'll ensure they're addressed. For the future of the company, I need you to speak honestly. If anyone else has concerns, please share them. A few employees exchanged glances and bit their lower lips, hesitant to speak. They likely had things to say but were worried about possible repercussions from Christopher. He isn't unfit. The truth is, this past week, I've only been doing menial tasks, so saying he doesn't know anything is accurate. Right, Manager Christopher? What? Don't say unnecessary things. Christopher, who had been looking down with a pale face, raised his head, now bright red. What do you mean by that? Explain yourself properly. Even menial tasks are proper work, right? Honestly, I don't think an old man like him can come up with good designs, which is why I was going to teach him from scratch. Perhaps realizing that making excuses would only worsen the situation, Christopher surprisingly spoke his mind candidly. Teach him from scratch, indeed. Your skills are excellent. That's why I spent years scouting you. But my son's sense of design is also remarkable. Besides, their design approaches are different, so there's no need for comparison. But even if he studied overseas, there's no guarantee it will be useful in the UK. We have our own strengths here, and I don't think we should undermine them. I later learned from Thomas that before Christopher joined our company, he worked in the development department of a rival firm. In the same industry, various rumors circulate, both good and bad. A single scandal can spread quickly, making it difficult to find a similar job again. However, all the rumors about Christopher were positive. His designs were featured in magazines, and he won numerous major awards. Thomas met Christopher at an industry beer exchange event. Captivated by his designs, Thomas began a passionate recruitment effort. Initially, Christopher declined, but eventually he was won over by Thomas's persistence. I believe Christopher was also moved by Thomas's dedication to his work. The people Thomas chose shared his passion. Their work ethic was admirable. That's why Christopher was worried that I might destroy the British essence with my overseas experience. Have you ever seen the building recently constructed by our New York office? No, all overseas designs are entirely different from the British ones and don't match my image, so I haven't checked. Hearing this, Thomas whispered something to Lisa, his secretary. She quickly retrieved a magazine from the shelf and handed it to Christopher. Look at page 5. The design featured there was created by my son. Christopher opened the magazine to the specified page, and his eyes widened in astonishment. This is amazing. The page showcased a photo of a groundbreaking, innovative building that I had designed with the New York office team. It blended stylish elements unique to overseas architecture with the British aesthetics. Other employees peeked at the magazine, echoing Christopher's surprise. Incredible! I could never have come up with something like this. Is it really possible for the British and American styles to blend so seamlessly? Everyone expressed their thoughts and surprise. Although I was proud of my work, being praised so directly made me feel a bit uncomfortable. Why did you keep this quiet? Why didn't you say anything when you first came back? If I had known, I wouldn't have. You wouldn't have acted that way, right? I finished Christopher's sentence for him, easily predicting what he was about to say. I heard from other employees that whenever a newcomer joins, you pressure them with a high-handed attitude and burden them with personal errands, not allowing them to do real work. What? Is that true? I had noticed the high turnover rate in the development department in recent years, but this time, Thomas looked around in surprise, and the employees nodded in agreement. That's because I wanted to live up to the president's expectations. To pass on my skills, they had to work under me. Design talent varies from person to person. Simply copying someone else's work is just imitation. Instead of teaching the same thing to everyone, you need to nurture each individual's unique talents. It's possible to be accused of plagiarism just because something looks similar. It all depends on whether it's released first or second. Of course, we should pass on the good parts, but giving everything away stifles individual potential. Design is about taking what you've learned and merging it with your own ideas to create something new. Being influenced by various works, you build your own original creations. Making someone work as your errand boy is fundamentally wrong. That's just bullying. It could easily become a social issue. That's an exaggeration. In the past, some might have considered it part of training to use harsh words or even physical punishment. But times have changed. Nowadays, even the smallest issue can escalate into a social problem. So we must be careful in guiding juniors, even if it means more work for us as managers. However, if we sincerely mentor them, motivated individuals will respond positively. It's enough if the company retains such people. It's not an exaggeration. Newcomers are quitting left and right. Every one of them was a promising individual I selected. With proper training, they could have thrived. Our company is known for its homey atmosphere and excellent working conditions. We have a solid benefits package, low turnover, and a good reputation in the industry. That's why we receive over 100 applications every year. While we use a basic written test to filter candidates, the decision mostly hinges on the interview. After 2 interviews, the final step is a one-on-one meeting with the president, Thomas. He decides who to hire based on that. Some years we bring in dozens of new employees, while other years, it's just a few. We are very selective. That's why I couldn't tolerate Christopher's behavior. These people quit over menial tasks. They have no guts. How about I handle the interviews from now on? I'll find people with real drive and determination. Enough already. I know well the struggles Thomas faced in building this company from scratch and growing it to this point. There were times when it almost went under, but he overcame those challenges with the employees he chose. The ability to judge people isn't something you develop overnight, especially not someone who looks down on others. I finally lost my temper and shouted before Thomas could. Someone like you, who doesn't see people as human beings, can't recognize good talent. Isn't it true that you failed to see my potential? That's because you kept quiet. Who would think an old man like you has any talent? Can't you be more objective? I won't follow someone like that. Sure, I might look like any old man, but judging people by their appearance is something everyone knows not to do. That's fine. I don't want you following me anyway. Do you understand? I'm the president of this company now. Do you get what that means? You don't want me to follow you. I'm the only person your respected father personally scouted. Are you planning to fire me? He's acting so confidently because he believes he can't be fired since he was scouted by the president. The truth is, I was excited to create something new with him after seeing the materials he worked on. However, keeping him in the development department will hinder the growth of the next generation. As a regular employee, focusing on immediate success might be acceptable, but as the president, I must look to the future. Consequently, I've concluded that he isn't needed here. Wait, President, please say something. Seeing my silence, Christopher turned to Thomas for help. But the response he got wasn't what he expected. I'm no longer the president, and I share the same opinion. It's a waste to lose your talent, but for the future of this company, it's necessary. We don't need someone who negatively influences the next generation. No way, I haven't done anything wrong. How can you fire me? That's a social issue in itself. If we simply fired him, it could indeed be seen as unfair dismissal. He hasn't caused any major problems within the company or with clients. If he sued us, we would likely lose, and I don't intend to fire him. No one said anything about firing you. You're being transferred to General Affairs Section 2? What? You've got to be kidding. General Affairs Section 2 is for Deadwood. Why would I be sent there? General Affairs Section 2 is a small, secluded room within the General Affairs Department. The tasks there include stapling documents and shredding confidential papers. Depending on the season, it might also involve selecting gifts for clients or arranging New Year's cards. Basically all menial tasks. On slow days, there's nothing to do, and no one wants to work there. It's generally staffed by employees on maternity leave or returning from it, who need lighter duties. Whether you stay or leave is up to you. Feel free to decide. I said this coldly and turned to leave. You've got to be kidding me. Are you trying to crush my talent? If you care about the company, you know I'm essential in the development department. Exactly. That's why this is a one-time opportunity. If you can reform yourself, you will eventually be allowed to return. With that, I left the president's office. That's the situation. It may seem lenient, but that's his way. If you want to keep designing, you'll have to change. Thank you all for staying late. You can go home now. Take care. Manager Christopher, I don't like you, but I admire your designs. Please continue as a designer in some capacity. Goodbye. The young employee who spoke to Christopher was the one who had been burdened with personal errands until I returned. He was also drawn to the company by Christopher's designs. Damn it. This isn't how it was supposed to be. Why am I in Section 2? Even though Thomas was still there, Christopher forcefully opened the door and slammed it shut with such force that it almost broke. After that, starting the following week, Christopher was transferred to General Affairs Section 2 as per my order. He endured for about 3 days but eventually exploded from the boredom. I quit. I'm not a man to waste my time with paper. I'm leaving this company. He tore up the documents meant for shredding and scribbled out a resignation letter before storming into my office. Here, happy now. I'll show you. I'll achieve even more at another company. Just watch. That's unfortunate, I said, neither trying to stop him nor asking for reasons, simply accepting his resignation. And so, Christopher left our company. From what I heard from industry peers, he had been interviewing at various companies but was repeatedly rejected. Despite his high design skills, it seemed his attitude was his downfall. He's likely making arrogant remarks, boasting about his talents while looking down on others during his interviews. Meanwhile, I become the president and am living a hectic life. Our company has mainly focused on commercial facilities, but I plan to use the knowledge I gained overseas to expand into residential projects. This will require creating a subsidiary and tackling many challenges. Come on, you should enjoy yourselves and not think about the company at all. Thomas, despite retiring as president, is remarkably energetic for 70. Maria, who has been his dedicated support, is also in excellent health, having never faced serious illness. To show my gratitude, I gifted them a trip to a hot spring. Thank you, we'll take it easy and enjoy ourselves. Let's go, Maria. I quietly watched them board the bus. At 60, I'm a new president, still a novice despite my age. I aspire to be a president like Thomas, trusted and loved by all employees.